So, I previously made a video talking about films you can't physically own in the UK unless you get an out of print or foreign version. And then, lo and behold, a few months later, they decided to re-release some of them, which included Bloodsport, Death Race 2000, and Cutthroat Island. So I'm thinking maybe if I talk about some more, they might re-release those as well. Now, most of these I can only speculate as to why they haven't been re-released, but odds are it's mainly rights issues. But I will talk about why they should re-release them. Spoilers for the subsequent movies. The Crank films are arguably films not based on a video game with the most video game-esque premise. In the first one, Jason Statham is poisoned with a drug and has to keep his adrenaline high enough, otherwise he'll die. He's also trying to find a cure, as well as kill the people who poisoned him. Crank 2, Jason Statham has his heart replaced with an artificial one that has to be charged up periodically, and it gives him superhuman abilities. Both films have insane premises and are played straight, which actually adds to the comedy in my opinion. A guy banging his girlfriend in public, snorting nasal spray, using jump leads on your tongue and nipple, it's ludicrous because the idea of seeing somebody doing that in real life is minimal. I personally prefer Crank 1. Crank 2 has a massive case of sequelitis. You know, let's do the same thing but bigger. It's still very entertaining though. I'm guessing some of the reasons that they haven't been re-released physically is due to the director team of Mark Neveldine, apologies if I'm not pronouncing that right, and Brian Taylor have stopped working together, and there are some scenes that could be seen as not PC.
A man's gotta do what a man's gotta do. What is it you gotta do?
I'm gonna kick some black ass.
What?
Oh, shit! Al-Qaeda! Al-Qaeda!
The production company Lakeshore Entertainment and distributor Lionsgate are still going though, although Lakeshore Entertainment has been owned by Village Roadshow Pictures since 2019, so there has been time to theoretically come up with an agreement. You can buy them digitally, and they can be found on certain streaming services though. A couple of reasons why I think they should re-release them are the fact that they do have a very video game-esque premise, and it does seem that video game adaptations are picking up steam, so there's that. Another is B-movie action movies are also picking up steam again. I mean, the Mario movie did well, the Sonic movies have done well, and people enjoy stuff like John Wick, Extraction, and The Beekeeper, a movie which had Jason Statham in it. Lastly, I think re-releasing some of Jason Statham's earlier movies is a good idea. He's far more popular now than he was back then, so why not capitalise on it? Dogma, arguably Kevin Smith's best movie. There's some great comedy in here, and I think some of the religious talking points are quite interesting, like the different interpretations of Christendom, such as talking about Jesus' relatives, the 13th apostle, God giving free will to humans but wanting servitude from the angels, etc. Yes, it would probably still be seen as controversial due to the religious subject matter, but controversy creates cash. Speaking of controversy! The reason you can't buy it physically, digitally, or even stream it is because the rights to the movie are owned fully by Bob and Harvey Weinstein. Kevin Smith has tried to buy back the rights to the movie, but his offers have been rejected. I guess we'll probably have to wait for the Weinsteins to die before the rights are up for buying, I guess. Judge Dredd, the Stallone one. People complain about how silly this movie was, but after reading some of the comics I realised that the Stallone movie was actually more accurate in terms of the world than the 2012 Carl Urban version. I even made a video about it. Anyway, I still feel, taken on its own merits, it's still a solid 90s action movie with an entertaining storyline and good action. And even though some of the acting can be over the top,
You betray the law!
it's still a fun watch. But honestly, read some of the comics and you'll see the premises for some of the storylines fit this world of Judge Dredd far better than the Carl Urban one, which I do enjoy. Apparently there was a lot of re-editing of the movie to bring it down to a more desirable rating, so a lot of scenes were cut down or removed entirely. A re-release with these edited back in would definitely have some interest, as you would get people like me who like to see the edited stuff to see how it would fit in the overall movie. Plus, it's a Stallone film and he's got his collection of fans. The production companies Hollywood Pictures and Synergy Pictures are defunct, both now being owned by Disney. The North American distributor, Buena Vista Pictures, and international distributor, Synergy Productions, are also owned by Disney. The other production company was Edward R. Pressman Film Corporation, which seems to be still going. I'd hazard a guess the reason it hasn't been re-released is due to Disney. They seem very picky on what they want to re-release despite owning a stupid amount of stuff. You can still buy it digitally though. The Rundown / Welcome to the Jungle. The fact that this has two different names definitely doesn't help. Here in the UK it was Welcome to the Jungle, in the US it was The Rundown. Honestly though, I'm not that fussed on the name either way. Still an entertaining movie either way. So this was Dwayne "The Rock" final boss, People's Champion, the Brahma Bull Johnson's first movie after doing The Scorpion King. Another movie that's out of print. It's such a 2000s throwback movie. Not only is The Rock proportionately sized and has hair, it's got Sean William Scott, aka Stifler from the American Pie movies, Rosario Dawson, Spud, aka Ewan Bremner from Trainspotting as a funny but also annoying pilot, Ernie Reyes Jr. doing some really cool fight scenes, Christopher Walken being Christopher Walken, and a cameo from Arnie.
Have fun.
The cameo is actually seen as Arnie passing the torch to The Rock, as the future of action movies. Didn't quite work out as intended though. Again, this is a fun action-adventure buddy movie with some humour thrown in. And it's the kind of humour that doesn't feel forced like a lot of newer movies where they have to stop to have a skit.
A little thunder? Oh, you like thunderstorms, big boy? How about some lightning?
I feel, because of this, it will find its audience. And being a vintage Rock movie helps as well. You know, where he didn't care as much about his image, like that supposed contract where he can't lose a fight. The distributors being different in different regions is probably the reason it hasn't been re-released. Universal released it in the USA and Japan, while Columbia TriStar released it internationally. They both helped produce it as well as Strike Entertainment, which seems to have been a Universal subsidiary, and WWE Studios, then known as WWE Films. I can imagine the amount of studios involved means it's really hard for everyone to come to an agreement on what they'll be happy with, hence why it hasn't been re-released. Eraser. Now, not one of Arnie's best movies, but I still think it's enjoyable. It somehow also managed to have Vanessa Williams, James Caan and Robert Coburn in the cast. It's really weird as it starts off as a fairly standard action movie, as Arnie helps people into witness protection, and then it starts involving railguns and wanting to sell them. Again, it's not high art, but it's a fun watch, especially when the railguns get used at the end. And the hilarious 90s CGI is a throwback, especially with the alligator scene.
Your luggage.
It's odd because it never got a Blu-ray release over here in the UK. I had an out-of-print DVD for the longest time and then managed to get a multi-region Blu-ray double pack with Collateral Damage off eBay. It being an Arnold Schwarzenegger movie guarantees an audience as he's a pop culture icon. And 90s action movies have become curiosities in recent years. It's interesting because Warner Brothers distributed the movie everywhere, but Warner Brothers seem to be picking what they released on home media, similar to Disney. The Colson Entertainment Production Company seems to have been run mainly by Arnold Copeland, who passed away in 2018, who owns the company rights now, doesn't seem to be available. It's interesting to note that clearly the Eraser premise must have been good enough, as they made a reboot in 2022 called Eraser Reborn. So yeah, here's more movies I've found so far that you can't get here in the UK. Let me know what you think and if there's any others that might be worth talking about.